Hi everybody, welcome back. It's the end of a month and that means it's bullet journal time. So we are going to be doing my August bullet journal setup today. I am using an Archer and Olive notebook. I have the 190 page notebook, super beautiful, nice thick paper. I'm using tons of markers in this setup, so no bleed through at all. If you want to check them out, they also have a ton of other great stationery products and pens, markers, things like that. So there's a code down below for you to get some % off. But other than that, let's get into it. Happy August. So I was inspired by Amanda Rach Lee's July theme this year. This literally happens every month where I do my bullet journal and then I get on Instagram and I see whatever beautiful creation she has made and I'm like, oh, that was such a cute theme. But I felt like this one still applied for August, so here is my recreation of it. It's a little bit of a nautical theme, a little beachy type of scene. So here I am sketching out sort of a lighthouse, beachscape type of thing. So I'm going to sketch it all out in pencil first and then go back over it in marker. But I actually have kind of a funny story about lighthouses. So I grew up in Florida and therefore, very coastal, decent number of lighthouses. And when we were in high school, my friends and I went to this lighthouse somewhat close to where we lived and grew up and, climbed to the top as one does. And I told myself I was going to visit every lighthouse on the East Coast. So I have officially made it through one lighthouse. Yep. I told myself that. I still tell myself that, and I still tell people that when I see, lighthouse magnets or things like that on people's fridges. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go to every lighthouse on the East Coast. And yet I have only managed to do one, and now I'm in New England, so I really need to catch up and get on it and start visiting some lighthouses because I just think it's really cool and pretty and a little piece of history. So I thought this August theme was just really cute. So drew myself a little boat and mapped out the text. And then I'm just adding some little detailing in the sand with, like a letter in a bottle, which is a theme that I tried to sort of pull through a little bit later in some of my weekly spreads. I don't have those on camera, but definitely check out my Instagram where I'm going to try to post all of my weekly spreads on my story. Next, I'm drawing, just a little anchor. Obviously, you got to do the starfish and some of the seashells and things like that. So this, I think, is a nice, relaxing theme after having a super crazy month last month. So July was absolutely insane, and August is the last month that I have before I go back to school. So for once, the only thing I'm doing this month is working. So it gets to be a little bit more of a calm type theme this month. But now I'm going back over all of my pencil markings in marker, and I realized a little bit later, I think it was fine for this cover page, but for some of my other pages a little bit later, I think that this was a little bit too thick of a marker to be using. Again, like I said, it definitely looks fine for this cover page where it gets to be like a little bit more bold, but when you'll see the monthly spread, it's a little, I don't know, a little thick in my opinion. But the great thing about bullet journals is that they teach you, or at least they teach me, that mistakes are normal and fine and not everything has to be perfect. So, I was a little bit behind doing my August bullet journal this month. I literally got it in just in the nick of time the day or two before August started, and I needed to move on to the next month. But the good thing about bullet journals is, if I needed to skip a week, then it would have been totally fine. And you don't need to have every single week. You only need to make the bullet journal for the weeks that you're going to use it, or for, when it's relevant and helpful. And that is something that I think a little heart-to-heart moment here in the middle of my bullet journal, but that is something that I think has been a really valuable lesson that something as simple as bullet journaling has taught me. So going back in and adding some color, obviously, using the same types of markers that I use the black with, and just, coloring in some bright, sort of almost basic colors. And after I did this blue, I decided it was a little too bright. You'll see later I switched to a different blue, which, isn't the greatest, but it is what it is. Like I said, not everything has to be perfect. So finishing up this spread with a little bit of sand detailing, and then we will be moving on to the monthly spread. I'm just going back and adding a little bit of detailing with a finer marker and erasing all of my pencil marks before I'm officially done, but we cannot forget the lighthouse windows. So those go in, and now we will flip to the monthly spread. So I'm going through and starting with my month at a glance, and I always sort of just pull the pages to the side to reference the month before. You saw me doing that a second ago, just for spacing purposes. I do have my spacing guide up at the very front. If you didn't see that in my setup video where I very first set up this bullet journal, then definitely go check that out. It was originally... I originally saw it from Amanda Rach Lee, of course, and she explains how it works in some of her videos. So just, basic calendar, month at a glance, and then I did, it was supposed to be like sand sort of at the bottom to match the cover page, and a little yellow flag like we saw on the boat and the lighthouse on the cover page. Honestly, this is just super, super simple. I think, like I said, I had a super crazy month last month, and so I was just hurrying to get my August bullet journal ready so that I could continue planning out my life and wasn't just, going willy-nilly in my day-to-day life, because I really do need my bullet journal. But sometimes, it does take a decent amount of time to set everything up. So, and I will apologize, especially right here, for the poor camera positioning. I know that the bottom of this video has been cut off the entire time. Again, honestly, probably just me rushing to get this August bullet journal spread down and on paper and ready to use. So I always put you can't see it on the frame, but I always put my goals and then the following month down at the bottom underneath my month at a glance. So I will sit and reflect and think about what my goals will be. I honestly don't even think that I wrote down explicit goals for last month, but my goals do help inform my tracker and what items that I decide to track on my tracker, which I'll be making next. And then I just have a running list of any important dates for the following month. So that is what I end up including on that monthly spread. And so for my tracker, again, super simple, but I wanted to add a cute little, along with the nautical theme, but something a little bit different than anything I did on the cover page. So I'm sketching out a little compass type looking thing, and then I'll again just go over it with the marker and color it in. So I realized after I did this, which if I'm going to be honest, I probably realized this a little bit as I was doing it too, but that I was going to have a little bit of interference with this little sketch compared to where I needed to write out my tracker. But you see me switch blue colors here as well. I think that this sort of like almost type of gray blue was a little bit less jarring than just like the very basic primary colors that I'd been using. But c'est la vie, it is what it is, and life and bullet journals do not have to be perfect. So going through and highlighting the weekend days for my tracker. This is the same way that I've done my tracker pretty much all year. I did switch it up a little bit in June, I believe, so you can definitely go check that out and see how I laid that one out. But that is it. That is August. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope you got a little nautical inspiration, and happy August. If you want to see more bullet journal content, more working in healthcare consulting content, or more grad school at Harvard, applying to med school content, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit the like, and I'll see you next week.